What's going on, guys? I'm Tyler, and I'm here to let you know that Mission Impossible Fallout is no perfect movie. And it takes place a couple of years after the events of Rogue Nation, where Ethan Hunt and his team now have to stop a new terrorist group called the Apostles, which is made up of what was left over from the Syndicate from the last movie, and stop them from retrieving a case of plutonium that could be used to set off a major nuclear bomb. And I was really excited for this movie because Chris McQuarrie, the director of Rogue Nation, is coming back to do this one. He's the first director to do more than one Mission Impossible film. And Rogue Nation, believe it or not, is actually my favorite of the franchise. I love the style that McQuarrie gives. His writing was very well thought out and calculated. The performances were among the best of the franchise for me anyways. And the action scenes, of course, were awesome to watch. They were practical. You could see the action full hand. The actors were fully committed to the choreography. And I'm happy to say that in this movie, it is the exact same thing and then some. In terms of the scope, the choreography, the cinematography, the stunt work, this is one of the best action movies I have seen in a very, very long time. And again, what makes it so awesome to watch is that it is entirely practical. Tom Cruise is jumping from building to building. He and Henry Cavill are fighting on top of a mountain range and could fall off at any given time. And that's what makes it really intense, because what you're seeing is actually happening firsthand. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing when some fight scenes are filmed on a green screen or using digital doubles. I'm fine with that, but at the same time, you know for a fact that what you're looking at isn't entirely real, and it takes a little bit of the stakes out of it. And with a film like this, where there have been 5 others beforehand, and you kind of already know what to expect from the story, the execution is what matters the most for this film. And yeah, even though the story can be predictable at times, and that the twists, whether or not you've seen these movies, you can see coming a mile away, it is the characters that make the action and the story equally investing. I think this might be my favorite Tom Cruise performance as Ethan Hunt, and that's mostly because his actions dictate a lot of what happens during the movie. And much of it comes from whether or not he can spare one life or let that one life go for the sake of millions of others being saved. He is that complex of a hero where just the thought of one person dying is enough to make him snap. And the film really goes into the fact that maybe he should leave one alone and go focus on the majority, which is not a simple choice to make, but it's a choice that he has to as a government agent. Ving Rhames has a very emotional presence to the film where he notices that Ethan is taking a bit of a darker turn than he usually does, and he has a very great scene where he confides to one character as to what it is that makes him such a devoted hero to pretty much anyone he comes across. And that scene alone just made it worth seeing him, even if he doesn't always contribute to everything that goes on in the movie. That one scene was what made him count as a character for me. And I gotta say, this has gotta be my favorite performance of Henry Cavill. He just loves being this very slimy CIA agent who is willing to do anything to get the job done, including even kill people on his own side. And normally, I'm not the biggest fan of him because he's one of those actors where he has this monotone voice where it sounds smooth and charismatic, but at the same time, his tone doesn't go higher or lower at any given time. But that does kind of fit this character specifically, and I really appreciated that. My only problem is that there are a few scenes that rely too much on exposition, and it's not like I can't handle stuff like that in a spy movie. It's just, the thing that I love about Mission Impossible is that there are a lot of scenes featuring silence where characters have to decide what they're going to do next without having to talk to each other. There are a lot of scenes like that also, and they're a lot of fun to watch. It's just, there are more scenes that feel like homework to watch just so we could follow the rest of the story. But that aside, Mission Impossible Fallout may be my new favorite in the franchise. I'm not entirely sure, but I did just rewatch 3 through 5, which are my personal favorites. This one cannot be beat. I don't know if they're going to make a sequel to it. I really hope they don't, because in terms of the action, the story, the stakes, the characters, and just the scope of the movie, it has some of the best qualities in any other movie in the franchise, and that's really saying something considering this is the 6th film. And I'm going to give Mission Impossible Fallout a 4.5 out of 5. Guys, thanks as always for watching. If you've seen Mission Impossible Fallout, what did you think about it? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like, subscribe, check out my other reviews at NoPerfectMovie.com. And once again, thank you all very much for watching. Take care.